ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. Pranams everyone. We are in the 6th chapter and we are looking at Dhyana or meditation. And we are doing a series of introductory classes to understand Dhyana a little more in detail before we venture into the Slokas. In the last class we saw what is the where does Dhyana fit in from a spiritual aspect. And for that we understood initially, of course, that the whole problem that we face in our life is samsara. And the root cause of samsara is ignorance. And if ignorance is the cause, it can be only cleared by knowledge. And if it is knowledge which is going to clear the ignorance and therefore take us out of samsara, where does Dhyana fit in? So then we identified that Dhyana is one of the disciplines, one of the sadhanas for us to pursue so that we get ourselves qualified to receive this knowledge. So Dhyana by itself cannot give us jnana, but Dhyana as a sadhana for getting us qualified for jnana is very important. Then we also saw what are the other, there are basically two types of dhyana there. One is, of course, to get us qualified for jnana, and then there is another type of dhyana which is to be performed as a sadhana after getting jnana. So one dhyana that is to be performed before jnana, before getting jnana, and one dhyana that is performed after getting jnana. The one that is done before Shravanam, Vedanta Shravanam or getting jnana is called Upāsanā. The one dhyana that is performed after getting Vedanta Shravanam or after getting jnana is Nididhyasana. Then we also saw that when we talk about dhyana by itself can also give us avantara phalam, as in some side benefits, and or it can give, if we actually start pursuing these side benefits, we will lose our focus to get the main benefit of jnana. And what are the side benefits that we saw? By performing dhyana, we might be able to experience certain mystics, or we can have some unique experiences. We should not be pursuing that. We should not be looking to gain those kind of mystical experiences. The other benefit that could come out of dhyana is the Aṣṭasiddhis. Anima, Mahima, Lagima, Garima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva, Vashitva. So these are the Ashtamaha Siddhis that we can get out of dhyana. And again, we should not be pursuing, we should not be doing dhyana for these. If we start pursuing this itself could be the obstacles for us to gain spiritually. They can weaken our vairagya, they can lead us to our downfall. And if you look historically in our culture, it's only the asuras who always go for these kind of mystic experiences or these kind of siddhis, and therefore they actually get into a spiritual downfall. So the mukhya phala of dhyana is therefore only for getting ourselves qualified for jnana. Now, getting ourselves qualified for Dhyana, the other name for it is also, we saw Upāsanā. So, we might use Upāsanā and Dhyana interchangeably. Now, what is the qualification that we are talking about? The qualification is preparing the mind. Preparing the mind so as to be able to take this knowledge in. Now, if you are talking about mind preparation, then mind has got multiple weaknesses. And therefore, there could be multiple dhyana also. So, dhyana can be classified into 4 types, or this before we come to the upasana, or in that stage of upasana, we can technically have 4 types of upasana or 4 types of dhyana. Each of these dhyanas give us a benefit which will help us get qualified for jnana. So the 4 types of dhyana. The first dhyana is called as relaxation meditation or relaxation dhyana. This is called for calming the mind, and this will be the first type of upasana. See, whenever we look for meditation or dhyana, many people attempt dhyana and then they fail in dhyana, and the reason for that is the moment they sit for dhyana, they expect the mind to immediately be calm and free from any kind of chanchala. It is not possible. It is not possible for the mind to immediately calm itself. It requires a lot of practice. It is possible for some people, but they would have practiced it a lot. But as a beginner, as a start, when we start, if we look at even Patanjali's Aṣṭāṅga yoga, Dhyana as a step, it comes as the 7th step. There are 6 steps before Dhyana itself. So the mistake that we usually make is, as soon as we sit for Dhyana, we expect the mind to become calm. Now this will not work. So what we have to do is, the right approach that we have to do is, first start calming the body. We'll have to start the process from the body and then slowly move inside towards the mind. So the first type of dhyana will be relaxation dhyana. So what we do here, we will sit at a certain time, at a certain place, in a certain posture. So we'll have to see if we are able to repeat it at the same time, in the same place, in the same posture. And we'll have to decide, or we will take a sankalpa that for the next 15 minutes we will be doing dhyana. But what happens in this case is, unless we give proper attention to the body, proper attention to the prana, proper attention to the senses, they will continue to remain active, because throughout the senses have been active, the prana has been active, and all those things, because of old habit, they will try to always remain active. How can you keep them calm? Because we have never trained the body. We have not trained the stula sharira, the sukshma sharira to remain still. That's why some people have this habit, even when they are actually sitting and talking, they will be shaking their legs, they will be gesturing with their hands, because it's out of habit. The body has not been trained to be still at all. That is the problem. So if the body itself has not been trained to remain still, then how can we expect the mind to be still? Body is Stula Sharira, our body. Mind is also a body. If the physical body itself has not been trained, how can we train the subtle body? So the first type of dhyana will be to keep this body still and free from any cheshta. They say cheshta means movement. Say we'll have to say, I'm going to keep my body still and free from any movement for the next 15 minutes. Forget the mind. So this has to be the first step towards even the relaxation meditation. Now we are talking about relaxation dhyana. Within that, the first step would be to actually sit in a place every day, same time, and say, I am going to sit without making any action. I am not going to move. I am going to do it for the next 15 minutes. So we'll have to practice it for a few days until it becomes natural. So initially I would put an effort to keep my body still, but then over a period of time, out of practice, the moment I sit down, my body automatically quietens. Remember, we are not bothering about the mind yet. Then what we do is, once this has been practiced for some days, then we focus our attention to the sense organs. Again, remember that our senses have been active all the time. Especially with the smartphone and the OTT platform these days, our eyes and ears are constantly active, except during sleep. So the next step would be to actually, we'll have to practice keeping the senses in a calm, inactive condition. Remember, it's not sleeping. It's about being inactive. Sleeping is a bit easy. So what happens? The eyes, the ears, the tongue, all must be kept calm. No talking, no listening, no hearing, no seeing anything. Again, this will be like for some people, this might feel like what? Like a punishment, because they are not used to it. That's why in those days, a lot of our, if you look at our grandparents or great-grandparents, they would have practiced Mauna Vrata weekly once or fortnightly once and all those things, just to make sure that give rest to the sense organ. So the next step here is, first after practicing the after practicing the body to be still for some days, we practice after the body, we'll have to keep the sense organs to be inactive. Again, this will need a few days of practice. Then after some days, after we have practiced this well, then we will come to the breath, prana. So we'll calm the breath. So calming the breath means not long breaths, not short breaths, but just natural breathing. Natural breathing with awareness. We should be aware of our breath, but we should not be making any sound of inhaling, exhalation and all those things. We just let it go. We just leave it as it is. Again, this too must be practiced for a few days. Now only after these three, which is the three, body relaxation, then the sense calming, and then the breath regularization, only after these three become a routine, only then we will come to the mind. Until then, we must not focus on the mind at all. Let the mind think whatever it wants. Let it wander wherever it goes. Our job will be to first discipline the body the senses, and the breath. And one more thing, we must learn how to relax. The problem is we've been living in a kind of always in a tense mode, always gesticulating, always stiff. So even in dhyana, sometimes people sit too rigidly, saying that, okay, I need to be extremely straight, my hands should be completely straight, my eyes should be tightly shut, and all those things. So what happens is, by the time they get up also, they will feel more tired than actually being relaxed. Relaxation itself will be a big sadhana. The idea of dhyana is to relax the body, and therefore we must sit also completely relaxed. And how is that relaxation? How do you identify whether you are relaxed or not? If I am closing my eyes and sitting in some place, if somebody pushes, I should be falling down. If I am holding myself stiff and things, when somebody pushes, I may not fall down. That means I am rigid. So that is how you can say that the level of relaxation should be. We should be using minimum energy, just enough energy to sit, that's all. We should not be using any extra energy to so-called discipline the body or sit in right angle and all those things. So this relaxation practice, this itself will take some months for us to practice. Maybe it could even take 3 months of daily practice. So the idea is same place, same time, same posture, same seat if possible, and develop a routine. Developing the routine is important. We should try not to miss even a single day. Remember, we're still talking about relaxation meditation, and we have not relaxation dhyana, and we have not completed it. We have not come to the mind yet. After this, the body, sense organs, and the prana has been all relaxed. Now we will come to the mind. Now if we come to the mind, the thing is, if you look at the mind has got 2 roles to play. One is the mind acts as the karta. Mind acts as the karta. Sometimes the mind acts as the karanam. Karta means the mind acts as the doer. Karanam means the mind acts as the instrument. How can differentiate? Suppose we use this mind to see and experience this world. With this mind, we also see the entire world. Now the question is, we are using our mind to see and experience this world, but what will be used to see the mind itself? Suppose if I say, I am feeling this, I have this feeling. What are we using to see our mind? It should be our own mind. See, when we see, and it is important to see what is inside our mind. We generally, human beings, we are always curious. Suppose if somebody says, do not open this box, we will try to open this box. Or somebody has put a board and then say, do not read what is below this line. Our eyes will immediately go down to see and read what is written there. There is always this curiosity that is there in our mind. Now the question is, should we not be curious about what is in our mind? We always want to know what is in other people's mind. Whether they are thinking about me, whether they are talking about me, whether they are discussing me, whether they are how do they perceive me? Do they perceive me as weak person, strong person? Do they see me as a competitor? We are always looking to see what is in other person's mind. should we not be looking into our own mind? And what do we use to see what is inside our mind? Our own mind only. We have been always using our mind to see the world. We have failed to use our mind to see what is inside ours. So, what will be the objective of Dhyana in the beginning stages here? In the beginning stages, we will have to practice seeing our own mind. There is a new term used in today's words, metacognition or something like that, about seeing one's own mind. It's very important. Nowadays, Western philosophers are actually giving this a lot of importance. But our Dhyana is always about seeing our own mind at the start, and this is not even the pinnacle of Dhyana. So what does this mean is, when we are using the mind to see and experience this world, we are using the mind as an instrument. We are using the mind to perceive things outside so that it is able to collect the inputs. So it is acting as an instrument. But the moment I am actually seeing my mind, using my mind to see myself, we have to convert the mind into the karta. So the mind is also the instrument, the mind is also the karta. So we have been using, what is mind? Mind is nothing but collection of thoughts. So we use thoughts to see and understand the world. We have not been using thoughts to see and understand our own thoughts. What is in my mind? What do I feel about Ishvara? What do I feel about myself? What do I feel about this world? What are the negative tendencies in my mind? Why do I behave in that manner? Why does my mind get agitated? When does it get agitated? We don't do those. We don't do that reflection at all. So when we say karta, what it means is we treat the mind to be the self. And when I say I see the world, the I should include the mind. When I say I see the world, the eyes become the instrument, I becomes the mind. So let me make it different. Let me use the karnam and karta differently now. When I am using the mind to see the world, I am using the mind to be the karta. Okay, I will redo this. My definition, I'll change the definition here. I had said the other way earlier. When I'm using my mind to see the world, I'm using the mind to be karta. So what happens? The eyes are my instrument. I am seeing through the eyes. My mind is a karta. I am collecting the information through the eyes. The mind becomes karta, the doer. Now in the meditation, what we are doing, we are making the mind from karta to the instrument. So I am using the mind to understand the mind. Of course, I am also again going to use my mind. So my mind is going to be both the karta as well as karana. The mind will be the instrument. So in relaxation meditation, what we have to do, relaxation dhyana, we'll have to change the status of the mind from karta to karana. Not just karana. So I'll use the instrument, but I will have to convert the mind also into an object. Because I have to see what is inside there. Just as I see the world, I will have to see the world is the object. Eyes are the instrument. Mind is the karta when I experience the world. Now in this case, what happens? All three are mind. The mind is the karta, the mind is the karanam, the mind is the object. all three are mind. This is not easy. This is not easy because the moment I actually try to practice this mind to be the instrument, trying to understand what is in my mind, immediately the karanam, from the karanam, it immediately goes into as karta, immediately. If the mind thoughts run away, I am not even able to understand where my mind thoughts are. So it is to convert the mind into an object of observation is very difficult. And this is the key sadhana that we must practice as part of relaxation dhyana. And if we do not practice this approach, what is the problem? If we do not practice this approach, then however long we perform dhyana, the mind will be part of the ahankara and it will act as karta only. We will never get an opportunity to control the mind. Even before controlling, we will have to understand the mind. We will never understand our mind, and therefore we will not be able to control the mind at all. So the key here is the mind which has been acting mostly as a karta has to be converted into an object. So the mind itself has to be split. The observing self and the observed mind. And this must be practiced in this dhyana. So, how do we understand this? Suppose I have a table full of objects, like say there are 5 items here. And suppose I'm calling out somebody there and say, and that person is actually wearing a glass, as in spectacles, and say, can you list the objects that you see? And that person maybe lists all the 5 objects. But then that person will not be able to, or will not list out the 6th object that is actually seeing, that is his spectacles. For me also, if I am wearing the specs, I am seeing you, I am able to see all the objects, but I don't realize that I am also seeing another object, which is my spectacles. Why? Because I have been treating the spectacles as karta, the observer. I am not treating the spectacles as the observed. Why? Because the spectacles are so close to my eyes and they are used to observe other things, and therefore they are forgotten as an object. The mind is also like that, exactly like like the spectacles. The mind is close to ahankara. Ahankara means what? The I-ness. And the mind is used to observe the world. And therefore we refuse to see the mind as an object. It is so close to ahankara that I refuse to, as close as the spectacles to my eyes, as an analogy. So I refuse to see these spectacles as an object. In the same way, I refuse to see the mind as an object. And that is why we say our mind is easily read by others, and we are able to read other people's mind. More than reading our own mind, we are able to read other people's mind. This is a big secret. We often say, there are some people who say, I don't know when I will get angry. That is a statement. That is a statement to create fear in you. But the reality is they themselves don't know when they will get angry. Because they don't know how the mind will behave in different circumstances. If we are in control, we should know when we get irritated, when does the stress come, when does the frustration come. So, if we are able to understand all these things, we can take preventive measures to ensure that these things don't happen. Or we can avoid getting into those situations. But the problem is we do not know our own mind. Ishvara has kept the mind hidden from ourselves. So what we have to do in dhyana, we must practice to see our mind. That itself will be a big discovery. Because as we observe, what we will realize is, we will realize that our mind has got lot of kalmashas, impurities. There are lots of impurities sitting in the mind. And once we start seeing our mind, after a few days of practice, our attitude towards the others, our attitude towards the rest of the world, the way we see the world will change totally. Because we know that my mind, I am equally guilty. I cannot question them. I cannot find fault in other people's mind, because I am having so much of problem in my own mind. And why do we not see our mind? Because we treat the mind as self. We do not have the time to look inside. We are so focused on the outer world. So, coming back to Dhyana, the first step, calm the body. Next, calm the senses. Then regulate the breath. Then observe the mind. See the mind as an object. Split the self from the thoughts of the mind. I am not the thought. The thoughts are on my mind. And what are the thoughts in my mind? I have to know. I have to understand. This is a big thing. And this, again, is not easy. It has to be practiced for a few weeks, days. Days are less, probably it will take few weeks. Or even if it takes months, it's okay. So what will we do here? In this relaxation dhyana, we will observe the stream of thoughts. No need to change. No need to focus anything. Just observe the stream of thoughts. It's like I go to a river bank, sit by the river bank, and I just observe the fast moving river. I'll just watch the river. We will not obstruct it. We'll just watch it go. Similarly, we observe our thoughts. No need to judge. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, it does not matter. Just observe. Do not stop. Do not judge. Don't try to force good thoughts. Do not try to obstruct or block bad thoughts. Try not to bring your likes or dislikes. Just see what is in my mind. It's not easy. As I said, the mind will immediately, after some time, 1-2 milliseconds later, the mind will immediately, your mind will go back to being the observer rather than the observed. So we'll have to bring it back. We'll have to practice. We need not become a friend of the mind or the enemy of the mind. We just need to, if there are bad thoughts, let them be. We'll see how to remove these bad thoughts. That is a different dhyana. Right now, in this dhyana, we'll only observe. So there are two things that we will do. One, split the mind into two. The one, observing self, and the observable or observed thoughts. Then, the second thing we do is getting introduced to our own mind. We have to understand our personality. What are the predominant thoughts in my mind? What are the weaknesses? What is my mind's swarupa? Truth be told, we do not know our mind. We act according to our mind. And it is the others who experience the result of our action. And they infer what our mind is like. We don't take any responsibility for our thoughts or for our action also. So we say, you understand my mind based on my actions that I am giving. So they are actually inferring what our minds are like. and they are trying to act according to that. The same thing we do with others. And sometimes the inference may be right, some inference may be wrong. The truth is, we do not know our mind. So in this dhyana, what we do? We discover our mind. We will understand our mind. Just as when somebody wears a contact lens on their eyes, they will have to split the eyes and the contact lens. The eyes are different from the contact lens. But when you actually wear the contact lens and see the world, you don't see the difference. The contact lens is more like the observer rather than the observed. But they are different. Similarly, we'll have to split the I is different from the mind. Right now, whatever is in my mind is I. That has to be split. No, you are different from the I, mind. So, we observe the mind without judgment. What happens here? The mind will get relaxed. So, this is Relaxation Dhyāna, step 4. What is step 4? Step 1, relax the body. Step 2, calm the senses. Step 3, regularize the breath. Step 4, observe the mind. Now there is step 5 within this relaxation meditation. The step 5 is the relaxation of intellect. There is within this antakarana, apart from the mind, there is also the intellect. The intellect also needs to be relaxed. What is that intellect? Buddhi. Buddhi is the one that analyzes, it plans, it decides. That buddhi is also constantly in action. Constantly planning, constantly we are actually deciding what to do now, what to do later. And we do this planning so frequently that we don't even realize it. Even when we are in this class, probably the mind is already thinking what to do after the class, what to do for dinner, are we going out after this, what are we going to do tomorrow. It's the buddhi that is actually doing all this planning. Even while eating, for example, before eating, while eating, when we are walking, going for a walk, the mind will always be planning. The intellect, if it is planning, it is intellect. The same antakarana only. So in this dhyana, what we do is, the senses and mind are relaxed, the intellect will start working. So whatever decisions we had postponed earlier, the intellect will bring them up now. Because the body is calm, the mind, senses are calm, the mind has been relaxed, so the intellect will start working double time, overtime. So the intellect will bring them up. What are you going to do for this? What are you going to do for next? That is why when you see, sometimes when we are in the shower, the body is relaxed, the sense organs nothing there, the mind is also a little bit calm. Most of the decisions come up at that point of time because the mind is relaxed, the body is relaxed, the sense organs are calm. So we take decisions during the shower. So whatever things that we had postponed, all will come to the fore. And as I said, some people, when they do dhyana, they will say, after doing meditations, I am able to take good decisions. I've got clarity in my decisions. Why? Because the mind is calm, intellect becomes clear. There is nothing wrong in that. But we should not be doing dhyana for taking good decisions. As I said, dhyana has to be used only for gaining the qualification that is needed for jnana. These are all avantara phala. So what we will do here, so we should now instruct the intellect. We should say to the intellect, do not analyze, do not plan, do not decide anything now. That has to be given to the intellect as a command. But people might say, but my problem needs to be solved. This is the time I am able to get these questions coming up. I am able to get some clarity in my decision, I have to take these decisions. Yes, problem needs to be solved, but give a separate time for solving them, not during the dhyana. And to keep the intellect calm is not easy. It's again, every step is a difficult step only, but it will come out of practice. We must practice instructing it to not to analyze or decide. The moment we are sitting somewhere suppose we are doing puja or something, or doing some chanting, immediately we'll get all these decisions. Why? Because we have shut out the sense organs, apart from chanting and seeing. So the mind is also kind of calm because of the chanting. Now what happens? The intellect starts taking calls. So it's very important that we don't allow that to happen. This dhyana is about relaxing the entire personality. And we must practice not to analyze, not to decide. Even if it is taking 1 year to practice this entire relaxation dhyana, it is worth it. And without doing this dhyana, if we try to do other types of dhyana, there are 3 other types of dhyana that we are going to discuss within this upāsanā. It will not work. So the first dhyana is relax the body, senses, breath, mind and intellect. Observe the mind. That is called as relaxation dhyana. Must be practiced for months until we are able to bring in relaxation. And how long do I need to practice this? I need to practice this until the time when I sit for dhyana, I am able to quickly relax everything immediately. I'm able to relax my body, I'm able to shut my senses, I'm able to observe my breath, I'm able to see what is in my mind. My intellect is also not taking any decisions. If I'm able to get to that stage, I'm ready for the next type of dhyana. But if we practice this on a daily basis for 3 months, we should be able to get it. This relaxation meditation is a necessary step for the next type of dhyana. So this is the first type of dhyana, relaxation dhyana. Now we will go to the second type of dhyana. The second type of dhyana is known as concentration dhyana. In Tamil, if we say manadai orumugapaduthuthal, or we can say manadai kuvikindra dhyanam, basically concentrating in one thing. Now the thing is, whenever we talk about meditation dhyana somewhere, mostly they talk about this dhyana only, concentration meditation, concentration dhyana only. But problem is, some people try to attempt this concentration dhyana directly without going through that relaxation dhyana, and they fail. So what is concentration dhyana? Again, the whole dhyana means what? Dhyana is manasa vyaparaha. It is all mental sadhanas only. Here, we do not give any importance to the body, senses, intellect also. Here in this one, we are only focused on mind. We get the mind to get itself focused on an object of dhyana. And what do? We practice in such a way that the mind does not get distracted. The mind's thoughts do not get dissipated on stuff other than what has been taken as the subject for meditation. The mind has to be completely focused on the object of dhyana. We'll have to ensure that no other thoughts disturb the mind. Remember, in the relaxation dhyana, we had allowed thoughts to come. Doesn't matter. Here, we make an effort to keep the mind focused, fixed on a single thought. That is called as concentration dhyana. And how do we perform concentration dhyana? We assign some work to the mind. Then after we ensure that the mind does not get any other thought, we move it to the next stage. So first we assign some work. So first what happens is the mind is now focused only on the work assigned. If you are just sitting somewhere, if you look at it, if you observe the mind closely, what happens is we get a thought. In the next millisecond, we get another thought, sometimes completely unrelated. Then we get another thought, then we get another thought, then we get another thought. So we get these thoughts. Now, if somebody asks us, can you tell me what will be your 10th thought? So you got this first thought. Now, what will be your 10th thought from now on? We cannot answer. Forget 10th thought. We will not be even able to answer what will be our next thought. So even in our mind, we do not know what is going on. What thought is going to come up the next moment. And only after the thought comes, we know, oh, okay, I have got this thought. Who decides the thought? Or what is the basis for these thoughts? The basis for these thoughts are prarabdha, mainly, or purushartha. Prarabdha is fate. What is fate? Our likes and dislikes, our vasanas. Or purusharthas. Purushartha means free will. What is free will? Going against this vasanas and going against my likes and dislikes, whatever step I create, focus towards the good, that is called as purushartha. Therefore, the mind keeps thinking about various things. The thoughts come because of prarabdha or vasanas. The mind keeps coming up with these thoughts. The problem for us is we know so many things about in this world, but we do not know what our next thought in our own mind will be. So in this dhyana, what we do is, we will say to ourselves that I will chant Namah Shivaya, some chant 108 times. And by doing so, I'll keep my mind fixed on, say, Bhagavan Shiva, Shiva Bhagavan, Maheshwara, or a Linga, or a Nataraja. That is the instruction that we give our mind. So what is the instruction that I have given the mind? I have said the first thought should be Namah Shivaya. The second thought should be Namah Shivaya. Third thought should be Namah Shivaya. Similarly, the 10th thought should also be Namah Shivaya. What will be the 10th thought? Namah Shivaya. So I say 108 thoughts should be Namah Shivaya. Now what we have to do is, we have to observe. What have we decided? And what have we instructed? And what is the thought that we get? But then when we practice this, we will realize that among the 108 thoughts that we get, there will be one thought of Namah Shivaya. The remaining 107 will be something else. But we should not let go. We should practice. Only if we give such a kind of work to the mind, we will realize the gap between what we want the mind to do as against what the mind independently wants to do. And anybody who is not in control of the mind will never be able to be successful. If we don't train the mind by giving some, if you look at the successful sportspersons, they would have trained their mind as much as they have trained their body. But they wouldn't have trained for Vedanta or Shastra. They would have trained the mind for something else, for their professional pursuit. But training the mind is a necessary step. So if we don't train the mind by giving some work, we will never realize that the mind will keep doing what it wants, and we are thinking, I am doing what I want. No, actually not. It is the mind which has decided to do what it wants. We own up to the mind and say, yes, I want to do that. So only if we give a condition to the mind that it must think of only this, then the mind must think it. Remember, the mind is supposed to be an instrument. It is supposed to be the servant. If it obeys, it is a good servant. Otherwise, it becomes a master, and that too a bad master. So sometimes they say, mind is a good servant but a bad master. But the mind being mind, it does not obey our instructions easily. So the concentration dhyana is to change its nature. It's to change its nature in such a way it obeys us. Concentration dhyana is not an easy form of dhyana. Again, this also requires months of practice, sometimes even years of practice, sometimes even a lifetime of practice. But remember, once we are able to control the mind in this janma, this is the same mind that we are going to get in the next janma also. So nothing will go waste. Nothing will go waste. If the mind is trained to think what it is being asked to, then there is nothing more to achieve for us. If we have our mind in our control, if I tell my mind, stop thinking that, start thinking about this, and if the mind is able to do that, fantastic, we are in control. We have won ourselves. We have won the world as good as winning the world. But a lot of jnanis and mahatmas, they have talked about how difficult it is to control the mind. There was one philosopher, Thayumanavar. He was a Tamil philosopher. He lived in the 18th century, between 1705 and 1744. And he says, யானையை அடக்குதல் எளிது, புலியின் வாலை பற்றுதல் எளிது, பாம்பை எடுத்து ஆடுதல் எளிது, தேவரை ஆளுதல் எளிது, பிறவியொன்றில் புகுதல் எளிது, கடலில் நடப்பதும் எளிது, ஆனால் மனதை அடக்கி மௌனமாய் இருப்பதே அரிது. What it means, it is easy to control an elephant. It is easy to catch hold of the tiger's tail. It is easy to grab the snake and dance with it. It is easy to rule over the devas. It is easy to even transmigrate into another person's body. It is easy to even walk on water. But it is more difficult to control the mind and remain quiet. It is so difficult, but it must be done. It has to be done. Concentration dhyana is about not letting the mind decide the next thought. We are telling the mind, just obey me for 15 minutes, that's all. After that, you do whatever you want. For the next 15 minutes, obey what I say. That's all. Initially, it will be difficult even to get 5 consecutive thoughts. But over a period of time, we can do that. They say Tyagaraja Swami, the composer, he had done crores of Ramanama without any mental disturbance. So by practice, one can do that. What we have to do is, here in this, we'll have to remove these unwanted thoughts and let it remain on a single thought. What is the benefit of this dhyana and what are the other dhyanas? We will see in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay. If not, we will see again in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.